Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Africa, you know we love the Big C tribe. We also love you in Canada. Whoa, Canada. I don't know if they need our help tonight, Big C, but they might need it down there in Trump land, Big C. But there's no one we love more than you good old boys down south, in the land of the free, in the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south on a beautiful April the 20th, 2018, Big C?
Charlton, I've been sitting around relaxing all day and watching classic movies. Matter of fact, I just got through watching this movie, Animal House. So I had to get dressed according to, so I'm sitting here wrapped in a sheet eating grapes. So if you hear me choke, and not be able to get these grapes out, that's what's going on today.
I've never heard somebody call Animal House a classic, Big C. Is that a classic for you good old boys down south?
John Belushi was at his best. Harold Ramis movie. I mean, just a tremendous cult movie. I mean, when you look at the things that went on in there, a lot of that stuff actually happened on college campuses and everything. But
that's
all
funny.
I could do is laugh, but I had to get dressed according to the movie. So I went and found a sheet in the linen closet and took off everything else and wrapped it around me. They call it a toga. I call it comfortable.
I guess we all get a cultural education every time you follow the Big C Sports Show. I really appreciate that knowledge, Big C. I do want to say today's segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. You could drive a car or you could drive a Cadillac. Big C, when you talk about those movies, I remember back in the day, growing up, and that was a crazy movie. That was a funny movie. And you brought my mind back to another movie that I love in the sports business. And one of the greatest actors in the world, in fact, one of the greatest actors in the universe, the great Denzel Washington. One of the best movies I saw that related to sports was He Got Game. And that was directed by Spike Lee. That had Ray Allen as Jesus Shuttlesworth. It also had, I think Rick Fox was in that movie also. He's one of them good old boys that showed Ray Allen the rounds at Big State of all places. Big State for Big C Sports. That was a great movie. But Denzel had a role in that movie. He was, trying to get out of some trouble. So the warden told him if he would just convince his boy to come to Big State, that he would let him get out of the penitentiary. And, he got hoodwinked, Big C, as we all have seen a lot of African Americans get hoodwinked. But that movie resonated with me because it talked about the pressure of the recruit business. And also when you're a pro athlete, everybody came after him saying, you owe me money, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, it's very profound because, we've seen the pressure on many young men going to certain universities. Matter of fact, it really came out this past year.
Yeah.
When we look at some of the payoffs from the shoe companies that the FBI has been investigating for the past 2 years. Getting young men to go to certain universities for whatever reason other than financial or educational. I think that, what's amazing to me is that the universities are unknowledgeable of any of these actions that occur.
Yeah.
Now, you think about it. They know when a kid gets an illegal lunch, okay? Think about that.
They sure do.
You go out and get an illegal lunch, and all of a sudden you want to put the kid on a game suspension.
Yeah.
But you know nothing about a $100,000 payoff.
Payoff? What $100,000 payoff? That was not my money, Big C. We learned that from Trump. And I want to reach out because we're all getting ready to watch the Lions hunt this weekend. We're going to watch the Lions hunt tonight with the NBA playoffs. We have Cleveland, Indiana. They're out hunting to get rid of that pesky, what's that? What do you guys call it when flies come around that moonshine and the barbecue, Big C? That's a pesky fly. You guys,
the gnats. The
gnats.
See, the gnats add to fermentation and flavor.
Okay.
That's a natural byproduct.
Yeah.
You get a little decaying,
oh, Lord.
animal in there, It adds a little colorization. If you don't want clear moonshine, you want that little cloudiness.
Yeah.
You allow all them bugs that land in there.
That's funny. Out here in California, they have what's called a food inspection. They'll come by and actually tag it if you got gnats in the collard greens, Big C. But I think about all the guys going out to hunt tonight, and I know when you think about hunting for a championship, you got to hunt for food. You got to know when you're being hunted. We talk about that all the time. I think what Denzel did in that movie, produced by and directed by Spike Lee, it was really, and we talk about, and you said it yesterday, we don't know what athletes go through. And oftentimes, you said also, and I thought about it, when they don't have a number, they're just another citizen. So for the guys playing, whether it's NBA, whether it's NFL, Major League Baseball, golf, soccer, tennis, boxing, you don't know what they go through. But I just want you to touch on one more thing because it's so important, of how we talk about equality in the workforce. And we talk about players who need to get paid and compensated. But, Big C, that pressure, when you get rich, it doesn't mean everybody wants you to be rich. Oftentimes, they think they're the one hitting the jump shots, Big C. That make any sense?
Well, Charlton, there's always pushback against the achievement of minority athletes.
Yeah.
Yes, they make money, but all of a sudden people say, oh, they're privileged. You know, they shouldn't complain about anything. Look how well they're living.
Yeah.
But you always got to understand, anybody who has a job anywhere, you got to understand the corporation doesn't mind writing your paycheck. And they don't even wince about it because they make so much more money than you.
Yeah.
Regardless of your income level, you have to understand that the corporation makes more money, whether it's in professional sports or whether it's in mainstream employment.
Right.
And so when you have people having this drawback against athletes, especially in the contract negotiations, and we see them now where athletes are holding out, and we get these fans, and how selfish of him.
Yeah.
You're telling me if you had an opportunity to hold back on your job in mainstream America, and we see strikes happen all the time. We just saw it in a couple states, West Virginia, Arizona, Kansas, Kentucky, teachers going out on strikes. And I really applaud them because they're underpaid. I don't care, even if they got a 50% pay raise, Charlton, they're still underpaid.
I agree.
But when these athletes do this and they start going out in free agency and holding out for more money and getting this franchise tag put on them in whatever sport, fans are saying, you know, why is he doing that?
Yes.
You know, Kirk Cousins, your cousin did it for 2 years in Washington.
Yeah.
He stole money for 2 years.
You starting rumors about that guy being my cousin. I know we all came from Africa, but he was called the house you can fill in the Big C. I was the guy out in the field, if that makes any sense to you.
Well, you know, if the Vikings don't win 14 games this year, Charlie,
he'll be out too.
That's a waste of investment, okay? It's a waste of investment because everybody has praised him as the chosen one.
Well,
when I look at these athletes getting paid and people saying, well, you know, what do they have to worry about? They become preyed upon, Charlton.
Sometimes their own family. Society and their families, too, like Denzel portrayed.
Everyone.
Yeah, everybody.
They become a target. I mean, people find out you're an athlete, there's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
It sure
I
is.
had a situation one time as an athlete, Charlton.
Yes.
Where I was attacked, my car was jumped on, I get out, and I was attacked, and I defended myself. The person was arrested, Charlton.
Yeah.
But when it came time to go to court, my insurance company said, you need to settle. Well, what do you mean I need to settle? This person was arrested by the police, charged with assault and battery and destruction of private property.
Yeah.
And I need to settle. They said, well, when you go to court, they're going to see you. You're this hulking black man. Okay? You're a professional athlete. This person is white. That's all they're going to see. And I didn't even know this person. They mistook me for somebody else.
Yes.
When they took their action. They mistook me for somebody else.
You know.
But I had to settle. My insurance company paid this person off.
Yeah.
Instead of defending me. Like I was the criminal. And I can't imagine what it would have been if I had attacked this person, Charlton.
Well, I think a similar thing happens. And again, it's for athletes to look at. And I got a story that I'm bringing it to mind because, you know, I talk to a lot of professional athletes in various teams and different sports all over the country. And when I hear this story, and we talked about Joe Morgan just yesterday, and we talked about how Joe Morgan lost his job. Now, he's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best baseball players in the history of Major League Baseball. In fact, in the history of the universe, Joe Morgan. Also, excellent TV commentator. Just excellent. knows the game with his eyes closed. But the man didn't have the chance to keep his job when he was attacked and decided to stand up for himself. But I think for a lot of young men who are bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, we have a lot of young NFL players, and people are blowing in the ear, just like that good old boy. And he got game, Jesus Sutterworth, played by Ray Allen. They were telling him how he was great and how he's going to be rich. And you got to keep in mind, when people tell you they're going to make you rich, there's nothing like writing a check. You know, don't tell me to invest in you. Write the check. You got to write the check if they're serious. But a lot of times people say, sign on with me and I'm going to make you rich. No, and you're in business, you put the money up first. That's how business works. And the thing about the guy, and he got game, and Denzel played it so well, but Denzel played a role that a lot of young athletes played it now. They get promised a book of lies. They get promised they're going to make you rich. They get promised they're going to take away all your problems. But they got to tell you that sometimes the same people that you know will be the same ones suing you. That means sometimes that person you dated that maybe felt a little bit scorned, that might be that person you had a business deal with, and they felt that, you know what, you got the money, if I sue you, maybe you'll settle, and you went through that, Big C. There are people that got to understand that part of the game, because what we see on TV, and this is what I say, I wish people would do it, so like I was told back in the day, do it yourself. You know, Grandma used to always say, you know, we would talk about, well, Grandma, I sure wish they'd make this kind of thing on that hamburger, right? She said, make it yourself. So with the Big C Sports Show, because I talk to so many athletes that don't have that voice, Big C, give me the advice, Big C, and tell it to all these athletes that are about to be drafted, and a lot of them can't wait to go get that Bentley. They don't know your Bentley was given to you, okay? I mean, from what I understand. But I'm sorry. I let the kid. Oops.
I'm writing that car.
Oh, oops.
The IRS thinks I paid for the car. So now you bring these type of allegations out on the show.
I'm sorry.
I got somebody sending me a letter.
They say
my income tax fraud. I can't have that.
I'm sorry, baby. We redacted.
Like we might be causing problems.
Just do what Trump said. I didn't say it wasn't my lips. But in all seriousness, can you please just tell these young football players that all of a sudden they become more attractive overnight? They become more sexy. They start to have a voice like Big C Sports. They want to tell you that they sound sexy like Big C. But Big C, remember when you signed your contracts, how much sexier your voice got, Big C? Did that make any sense?
Charlton, I was a handsome lad anyway, you know, so we won't even go there, you know. Probably picture of the week in the paper or something as a child. I don't recall that, you know, when you got PPE, you don't remember everything.
Yeah.
But, you know, even in the words that I could utilize, I think the best example would be a player that was drafted by the 49ers last season named Reuben Foster.
Yeah.
Out of the University of Alabama.
Yep.
That has a plethora of trouble with the 49ers. He's been arrested on marijuana. He's been arrested on assault and battery. He's been arrested on speeding. He's been arrested on domestic violence. Now, these things didn't occur while he was at Alabama.
No.
He was a poor kid living on a scholarship. Now he's in the NFL. He kind of loses track and focus of what his job responsibilities and his social responsibilities are, Charlton.
Right.
And a lot of that comes from the people that you surround yourself with. Let's go back to Jamarcus Russell, another SEC player out of the University of LSU.
LSU, yeah.
Number 1 draft pick of the Oakland Raiders, you know, arm like a cannon, mind like a, you know,
cannon.
Peanut.
I was going to say cannon. You know, mind like a cannon. Okay.
He got into prior to going to training camp, you know, getting caught, getting high.
Yeah.
You know, showing up at training camp 300 pounds, not ready to play because he's hanging out with his friends, living lavishly.
Right.
Lasted for a half a cup of coffee in the NFL. So when you look at what players have looked forward to, Charlton, and what they have to understand, you know, you have to mature right away.
Yes.
You know, when they talk about little boys becoming man of the house because something happened to their dad, Charlton.
Yeah.
These guys have to become man of their domain. They need to surround themselves with people that are not there because they like them.
Okay, but how do you do that, Big C, when you know that even people who don't know that they don't like you, they really don't like you when you have a 7-figure check, Big C? Your thoughts?
Let's look at this, Charlton. How many college cities have a professional team? And if you're not drafted by that professional team in that city where you play in college football,
Yeah.
don't move your friends with you. If you move anybody, move your mother,
Amen to
move
that.
your dad. They will keep you in check. They will talk to you. Don't move your brother because he's like, let's go out, man. Because you getting him into everything. Don't move your cousin because he's the same way.
Yeah.
Move your mom and dad into the city that you're playing in, even if they don't want to come. I need you here for the season. You can keep the house, but I need you here for the season to keep me in check so that I can go through the process properly.
To get adjusted.
So I can have a safety net to adjust for this first 6 months of dealing with all this money and lifestyle.
That's a very good point, and I'm glad you brought it up because I meet a lot of athletes now, and I know it's been well chronicled, as everybody loves the game, and we hear about different athletes that have gone through $100 million. It's hard to go through $100 million even if you're trying, and not blaming anybody because money can be a drug. Everybody thinks they want to be rich. What does a lion say? When the lion walks through the forest and he's looking to eat, he walks up to the gazelle and he says to the gazelle, "Can I eat you?" And the gazelle says, "Well, no. Why?" And the lion says, "I'm going to ask you one more time. Can I eat you?" And people say, "Well, why in the world would the gazelle say, yeah, you can eat me?" The lion's going to take what it wants anyway, but you don't have to volunteer for it. How does the pimp show up? How does the agent show up that says the same thing, Big C? When they tell these young kids out of college that you're going to be rich, I'm going to make you rich. Not your talent's going to make you rich. I'm going to make you rich. And I want these young athletes to know it's just like the lion. They're going to ask you, "Can I eat you?" And the average person would say, "No, you can't eat me." Would that make any sense? So why, if it doesn't make any sense, do agents sign on with athletes who don't know any better, just like the gazelle, and they go through $100 million? They let the agent take their money, and baby, hey, look, I found this great investment. There's an oil deal down there in the southern part of the United States, and all I need is $15 million. You give me $15 million, I'm going to make you $600 million. So that's how a lot of guys get eaten by the lion when they say they'd never volunteer for it. Big C, what do they have to look out for when they see it coming? Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, when you see a lot of these youthful individuals who have no economic knowledge, that's what happens, and that's why I said move the parents. And you look at the draft now in all major sports, where football was the last, but even it now allows kids that are under the age of 21, to be drafted. And you think about basketball, 19 years old, you could be in the NBA playing basketball. There's a kid right now that's going to be drafted out of Virginia Tech in the top 10, defensive end. 6'5", 250 pounds. He's 19 years old.
Can't even
He's
drink.
going to become a multimillionaire at 19 years of age because he entered college early. But he's eligible for the draft.
Yeah.
So when you look at these situations, and like I said, mainly the NBA, you have these 19-year-olds, these 20-year-olds. You're not old enough to go out in a club legally, okay?
Yep.
But your height will get you in. And that fake ID that you're able to afford also helps.
Yeah.
and some doorman who wants an autograph or a ticket to a game will get you in also.
Yes.
But when you look at this, they go into a domain that they're not accustomed to being in. You spoke about the jungle. They're walking into the jungle, Charlton.
Yeah.
They're going to find themselves surrounded by other people, other women, that see the predatory opportunity that's there, that's presented to them, to these young people that, hey, you're the greatest, you're the best, I just want to be with you, I love you, God, you're great, I'll go home with you or you come home with me. Now you got a 19-year-old guy, you got some 25-year-old woman who looks like she just came out of a centerfold spread. He is enamored by that, okay? And you can't tell a 19-year-old with some 25-year-old in a place where he should not be legally that he's not attractive. He's got a lot of money. And so they find themselves in vulnerable situations. A lot of players over the years.
Yeah.
Let's go back to last year's World Series. The Dodgers, your boys out there in L.A., they got drugged by the fellas that there in Houston.
Yeah, we got robbed.
Okay.
We got Hugh Darvish was on the take, Big C. I knew what he was throwing on TV.
That's what I wanted to talk about, Charlton.
Yeah.
Being robbed.
Yeah.
Yasiel Puig, okay, got robbed. All right? Here's a guy from Cuba who's migrated to the U.S., playing Major League Baseball. Very noticeable figure. But ironically, during the game, in a gated neighborhood, the people go in his house and steal $1.5 million in jewelry.
Wow.
Now, we question why somebody has $1.5 million in jewelry in their house. You got an alarm system. You live in a gated community. But someone goes into your house. Now, these people that go into your house have carnal knowledge, Charles.
You think they knew him?
They know where you are. They know where you are at work. They know where you live. They know how to get into the house.
Yep.
Now, who knows who he ran into in his nightlife, shenanigans?
Yeah.
That may have copied a key, put a clay imprint in when it had it copied. Watched him do the security code a couple times.
Yep.
But they go into his house. This is what happens to young athletes. You trust the wrong people. You get yourself around, and you don't have this safety net. And that's why I said you should be forced, as part of your contract, to move your parents to your city, at least for the first year.
Makes sense.
To help supervise you. And people say, well, the guy's making millions of dollars. He's a grown man.
No, you're not.
Financially, yes, he is. Mentally, he is not.
He's not.
And so many of these players find themselves. I go back to Ron Rivera. 1983 it was. Pittsburgh Steelers had an opportunity to draft Dan Marino as well as many other quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They drafted Senior Sack out of Texas Tech, defensive tackle. Great athlete, tremendous speed. Passed on Marino. Terry Bradshaw got hurt 4 games into the season, tore a tendon in his bicep, never threw another pass in the NFL.
I remember that.
Changed the plight of 2 organizations. But Senior Sack was not ready for the big city, coming from Texas Tech. All of a sudden, he's in Pittsburgh, leading a life that he never thought he would ever do.
Yeah.
Coming from the inner city down in El Paso, Texas.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, he gets in a car accident. He's paralyzed. His career is over. His life as an athlete is over. He did not have proper supervision. And I'm saying, yeah, he was a grown man, but to be in an environment where people love you and care about you,
yep,
versus people like you and prey upon you are 2 different things.
That's a very good point you brought up. And again, I work around the AAU basketball here in California. There are a lot of young kids who are bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and a lot of them think they're going to play in the NBA, which means they could go into the NBA and put a grown man out of work. Not going to happen. First, they got to get through the college ranks first. There are a lot of men who don't have that. They just don't have it. You got to know when you're being preyed upon, just like the lion. And we say to these young kids, you talk about the movie you like. What's the movie you said you like? Which one was it, Big C, you said with the toga that
Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles. You like the Blazing Saddles, and the guy knocked out the horse. But there's
Alex Karras.
But I'm encouraging, just like we ask people, to watch the documentary 13th when you want to know how to deal with some of the racial issues going on in our society. But for the young athletes, I'm telling kids at the AAU level, Big C, go watch the movie He Got Game. It's a basketball movie, and I encourage grown men to watch it. Denzel Washington, one of the best actors out there, produced by Spike Lee. And it tells those kids to, it's like the supermodel. Everybody tells you you're pretty your whole life. So you decide you're going to go off to overseas to become the next top model. Are these TV shows they put on TV, and you're going to become the next top model. And then you meet a guy like Harvey Weinstein, and he says, yeah, let me eat you. And you say, why would a woman say, yeah, you can eat me? And he says, well, you want to be successful, don't you? Don't you want to get into this business? I can make you rich. All you got to do, take your pants down. Do what I tell you. If you don't, you won't find a work in this business. And because a lot of women, they don't have somebody speaking the truth to them. They have that happen to them. They get preyed upon. You got to clear the fog, and you got to not let it happen. And we say the same thing, Big C, happening to athletes. And part of my job, as I talk to young people, is I listen to what you tell me about some of the pitfalls you saw out there on the road. We had Sean Salisbury just about a week ago, and he was on the airwaves, a couple of networks, and he was lambasting some guy, I think it was a player, Tristan Thompson, with Cleveland, because of the Khloe Kardashian deal and whatever they do. And people don't know what a relationship they've agreed to have. Big C, LA's about open freeways and open relationships and facade relationships. We know that. But for him to get on TV our radio and blast a man, African-American man, for doing the same thing that he's done, I thought that was disingenuous, and Big C Sports is the only show to check him. How can we tell young athletes don't fall pitfall? And I know you're giving good examples, but give me the example again this time about the coaches that come to your house. You know, they come to the inner cities. They love the young black boys who are big, strong, and black, and strong, and big, and fast. And they say, let me eat you. And you say, what do you mean, let me eat you? They say, well, I'm the lion. I got to eat. I got to eat to survive. I want to know, can I eat you? And I'm going to make you rich if you let me eat you. And Big C, these guys get eaten alive because not many of them make it. What story would you say to the coach when the coach shows up at your house and he asks your kids, can I eat you? Big C, your thoughts.
Charlton, that starts even before that coach shows up at the house. It starts in the Pop Warner and the junior ranks, Charlton, when kids start playing sports, whether it's basketball, baseball, football, whatever sport. It starts when people close you and people around you start telling you the greatest. You know, nobody's ever been better than you.
Yep.
You know, you're going to make it to this level. And not even the kids that don't make it in college, but Charlton, I'm thinking about kids that don't make it through high school.
Wow.
The mental pitfall that they go through. You think about some kid that all he's concentrated on in high school is playing sports. And they let him have a pass, Charlton, because the teams needed to win. It still happens today, where all of a sudden his senior year, his season is over. He doesn't have the grades to get into a major university.
No.
All he can do is hope to pursue a junior college career. Now look at where he is emotionally. He may have been an all-state player, at least an all-league player, all-sectional player, Charlton.
That's right.
And all of a sudden, he doesn't have the GPA. He doesn't have the 2.0, the 2.7, whatever it is now, to get into a major university. Think about how distraught this young man is. When he is seeing lesser talent that he dominated go on to university, and he's at a junior college struggling because he's not around the talent that he would have been at this major university. So we look beyond where really the problem exists. And, oh, by the way, if they do make it to a university, Charlton, oh, yeah, you're the star running back that we're recruiting.
Yes.
But we're not telling you we're bringing in 5 or 6 other guys that play the same position as you do.
Yeah.
You're going to have to compete. You're not coming in getting a starting position. Oh, and by the way, we still had 4 guys from last year's roster.
It happens all the time. It happens all the time.
And so you might have to change position now that you're here at the university. We were thinking that you might go over and play a little linebacker or safety now.
Yeah.
Because we're so deep at running back. And we recruited you as a quarterback out of high school. We think you're talented enough to play wide receiver because we have 3 other guys that we recruited to play quarterback. But you're a minority that's a better athlete, so you're going to have to move to another position.
It happens all the time.
So you look at guys who are trained over the years. And Tony Rice, that happened to Tony Rice back in Notre Dame with Lou Holtz. They tried to get Tony Rice to switch to wide receiver because they had some mainstream quarterbacks that they had recruited that they were really high on.
Yeah.
Tony Rice had to sit out his freshman year at Notre Dame due to academic problems. Tony Rice hung in there and won a national championship for Notre Dame under Lou Holtz.
They beat West Virginia. I remember that.
They did not want Tony Rice, and Major Harris was a quarterback for West Virginia in that game.
2 African-American quarterbacks.
One of the few times that you've had 2 African-American quarterbacks starting in the early days of national championship games, Charlton.
Yeah.
But they wanted Tony Rice to change positions. But look how Tony Rice was pushed to the side, but he didn't have an equipment system. Think about a lesser, tough individual that did not have his family behind him. Tony Rice's family would not let him leave school.
Yeah.
They said, no, you're going to get your academics in order. You took the time to play around and let your grades drop. No, you're going to get your academics in order, but you can't come back here. I don't know where you're going, but you can't come back and live in this house because we don't take quitters.
Because his parents helped, and that's a story, and I'm glad you brought that up. You know, up here in the AAU in Northern California, we'll bring in professional athletes. And we'll bring in professional athletes, that not the ones that are playing, but the ones that have a second part to their life. And they got to understand that too. And when they have a second half of their life, they got to know, what do they do? You know, what do you do with the second half of your life after your playing days are over and you're 30 years old? Not everybody can be like a Tom Brady. Not everybody can be like a Warren Moon or a Barry Bonds are some of the golfers like Tiger Woods, 42, I think Phil Mickelson, 47 years old. A lot of these kids that get preyed upon by these coaches. And again, like we tell young kids, even at the AAU practices, Big C, in the games, there are a lot of scouts out there. You know what they're doing? They're saying, which kid can we eat? They're lions. They're lions because they're not telling you what we're telling you. All they're telling you is what you're going to be if you sign on with them, that you're going to be great. And you got to understand, you can't be great if somebody doesn't give you the real story. And that's what I love about doing the Big C Sports Show with you, Big C. And I hope that mainstream would catch it. And I know it's going to happen the same way you know it's going to happen. We're going to see on draft day, they're going to put these guys on TV with a $500 suit. They're going to say his wingspan is whatever it is. They're going to say his vertical leap is whatever it is. He runs a 40 and 4.35. He bench presses 225 pounds 31 times. They don't tell you how you have to plan to have money when they cut the checks off, Big C. That's why I love the knowledge you bring to Big C Sports, Big C. So I want to ask you this now. On the second half of their life, when you finish playing sports, you own the restaurants, you own a lot of business, you've done a lot of things in life that you earned because you worked around people who opened doors for you, not who tried to put their hands in your pocket, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, one of the things that I've always advocated that the professional leagues do is that whatever a player signs a contract for, is that 10% needs to be put away for 10 years down the road. Every year that he plays, 10% of his contract, signing bonus, first-year contract, needs to be put away for 10 years after he retires.
Yes.
Okay? That's what happens. So if you sign a contract in 2018, 2029, 10% of that money will have been put into an annuity and is available for you.
Yes.
You play the 2019 season, 10% of that contract is put away into a new. That the league automatically does this.
Yes.
That the player has no say-so in it. It is a mandate by the professional leagues, Charlton.
Yes.
Is that when these players get out of the game, so if you have a 20-year career, think about how much money you have out. You have money out for the next 20 years after you retire, Charlton.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the FedEx Cup in golf. The champion, it's a 10-year annuity that they get, that they can't touch that money for 10 years.
Yes.
But they win $10 million, and it's put into an annuity. So in 10 years, that $10 million is worth $30-40 million, Charlton.
Yes.
And so when we look at professional athletes, I look at Ray Allen. Everybody had rode Ray Allen on how he was destitute and broke.
Yes.
How he had to file bankruptcy. Ray Allen was the first major athlete to sign with Reebok shoe.
Was it Allen Iverson or Ray Allen? Which was it?
Allen Iverson.
Yeah, Allen Iverson. Yeah.
Allen Iverson was the first major mainstream athlete to sign with Reebok shoe when they came out. I believe it was 1986 is when they hit the market.
Yeah.
They set up an annuity for Allen Iverson at that time, Charlton.
Yeah.
That when he reached his mid-40s, that he would receive it. Because they knew that he was making enough money playing the game to survive. But Reebok was establishing themselves. And they didn't want to give him the money that it would be gone. They wanted to have that money down the road for Allen Iverson.
Yes.
That would take care of his future.
Yeah.
So he's going to receive over $40 million from this annuity that Reebok shoes set up for him in the next year.
Right there.
Okay?
Right there. I just want to pause on that point. I want young people to listen to this, because as a young black boy, I've always been told you could do anything you want to do, and that was in the home. And then on the outside, that's when sometimes you start facing being a little bit marginalized and pushed back, a little bit of pushback, unless you played sports. And oftentimes, as I see a lot of these young African American boys and white kids too, everybody's lives matter, but I want to speak to these young black kids that have been sold this bill of goods. Like the lion says, I want to eat you. Let me eat you. I'm going to make you rich. Big C, please talk about one more time, because Denzel, Spike Lee covered it in the movie He Got Game. As we're all starry-eyed and bushy-tailed, how somebody's going to make us rich. Somebody can't make you what they're not. Okay? If your agent's not rich, how's he going to make you rich? Your talent makes you rich. Big C, why is it important to have the annuities and the financial planning more so than the tennis shoes and the hats that they give athletes? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it would be nice if agents represented players in that light. but they don't. The agent is trying to get his cut up front. That's where he is. He wants his money. He's not worried about you as a client generally after your career is over, unless you have some huge endorsement deals. That's it. And the average player, Charlton, is not going to get those huge endorsement deals.
You're not.
But, you know, it would be nice if the NFL has to step in. They regulate the agents.
Yes.
They can also regulate the contracts of players. If the NFL was really concerned about the well-being and the future after the post-playing days of athletes, Charlton,
Yeah.
is that it mandates 10%. We look at the minimum that a player could earn now on a practice roster in the NFL. $358,000 last year was what the minimum a guy who did not play one game in the NFL could earn on a practice roster. Just going to practice every week for 17 weeks. Now, if you take $36,000, Charlton,
Yes.
put it in an annuity for 10 years down the road, that's a pretty decent 401k.
It is.
Now, if he spends next year on the practice roster again, Charlton, that's another $36,000.
Yep.
So now he has $72,000 put into a retirement fund that's going to, that's going to escalate, and he can't get to it for another 10 to 11 years.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what the NFL needs to look at. Now, you look at the first draft pick that's coming out in the draft. He's going to be guaranteed $27 million.
Wow.
Okay, $2.7 million, Charlton, you put into a trust that doesn't activate until 10 years after he's done playing.
Yes.
So if he has a 10-year career, then 10 years down the road, that $2.7 million now, Charlton, is going to be worth at least $10 million.
That's very powerful. Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be worth at least $10 million. So you think about what the professional leagues can do for players to protect their futures. Very simple thing to protect their futures is that everybody peels 10% off their contract. Your cousin who just signed this $84 million guaranteed contract in Minnesota.
Okay, I want half if he's my cousin. Give me half, cousin. You know how we do it, Big C.
$84 million guaranteed, Charlton.
I'll take it.
And that's over 4 years. You take that, Charlton, and you peel off 10% of it each year, which eventually is going to come out to $8.4 million, all right?
Yeah.
But $8.4 million, Charlton, is set out for years down the road. We're talking about a man who is now going to be getting $30 million, 30 years from now. $30 million, So that's not a bad return. But the NFL has an opportunity to control that, because when we think about the majority of minority athletes, Charlton,
Yes.
who come from inner cities and disadvantaged backgrounds, okay?
Yep.
When they get this money in their hand, everybody is a predator. You got aunts that haven't paid their power bill. Their car's about to be repossessed. The electric bill needs to be paid. The rent needs to be paid. You got everybody you didn't know. The guy that coached your Pop Warner team, his car just broke down.
Yeah.
I mean, but you start feeling empathetic and obligated to all these people that that helped you out when you were young. But just because they helped you out when you were young, you were the one that made the physical sacrifice and educational sacrifice, Charlton, to get to that point. So you're not obligated to these people. It's like if a kid only goes to college, is he obligated once he gets a job that's not an athletic job once he leaves college to go back and compensate everybody he knew in his life?
No, not at all.
It's not. If you become a school teacher, and every school teacher out there, Charlton, went to college, is it their right to go back and compensate everybody who stood behind them till they got their degree and their job, getting $40,000 a year as a school teacher?
No.
No. So why should you put that burden on a professional athlete?
And that's why they got to get the education. Investing in somebody, companies do it all the time. But there are times you look around your life, you'll find people who haven't done anything for you. But all of a sudden, they need a Bentley too. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry. And boys and girls sports is the foundation of this billion-dollar industry. For every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. And if you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you at 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. I want to just, it's so important that we have these conversations. What do you do after the game? What do you do after your playing career is over? And I hope that more people will get that mentorship, because we know that mentorship is not out there. Remember, whenever you're out there driving your car and you see a stoplight, I want you to think of Big C Sports. When you see the stoplight, you're going to see a yellow light. Yellow light means what, Big C, down south? What's it yellow light mean? Speed up, Big C? Well, out here in the West Coast, yellow light means slow down. When you see a red light means stop. When you see a green light, what does green light mean? Green light means go. What's it mean, Big C?
Well, out there in California, it means that the smoke shop is open, I think.
No, that's not the 420 light. I mean the green light on the stoplight, Big C. But it means go. And as a young kid, even if you're an older person, you got to know who's the red light in your life, who's the yellow light in your life, and who's the green light. There will always be people who will be a red light. They'll never do anything but take from you. And you know who they are, because they haven't offered you to help build anything. You're going to find yellow lights in your life. They're going to kind of hem and haw and see if you make it. And when you make it, then they want to become a green light in your life. They haven't done anything for you, but they got their hands out. It's okay to invest in people and have people invest in you. But if you're a young athlete, even mainstream, you got to know who's investing in you and who you're investing in. No one can make you rich. Your talents make you rich. Okay? It takes two. But understand that I just hope every athlete watches He Got Game. Big C, in the NBA, I saw what I thought was a lion. You know, sometimes you watch the Wild Kingdom, and athletes understand this metaphor. A lion has to eat, and you're going to watch athletes eating this weekend. You're going to see the ones that are dominant. Big C, I watched that good old boy down in New Orleans. I know they had a lot of beads come out of his pocket when he took the floor, Big C, but he's a lion. He's a lion, and he's king of the jungle. Give me your thoughts on how Anthony Davis, since DeMarcus Cousins sat down, has become a lion, the king of the jungle. Big C, your thought?
Well, Charlton, his points per game has increased about 7 points a game since Cousins has gone down, but he's been the benefactor of Rajon Rondo. Don't think that he hasn't.
Yes.
This guy in the playoffs throughout his career, Charlton, has been an all-star player in the playoffs. He may just go subtly through the regular season.
Yeah.
But there's a light that comes on for Rajon Rondo when he gets to the playoffs. And his ability to understand the game is probably better than any point guard in the NBA, because his knowledge and recognition to what's going on the floor is just uncanny.
He's amazing.
He's not the big-name point guard that we see running around the NBA. We don't see the Chris Paul label put on him. We don't see the Michael Westbrook label put on him. We didn't even see Damian Lillard's label put on him, Charlton. But what he does to a team to elevate their play through his unselfishness, and this is the one thing that is missed so much in professional sports, to have a player on your team that's unselfish,
yep,
who gets a euphoria from elevating his teammates. Rajon Rondo has done that in his past in the NBA, and we see him doing it again. They're going to sweep Portland in this series, Charlton. And people are going to say, well, is it time to tear apart this Portland team? No, it's not, Charlton.
No, it's not.
This is a team that finished third in the West behind two 60-win teams, Charlton.
Yeah.
And, you know, each year they have gotten better record-wise. It's just so happened that the team that they're playing, Charlton, was only a couple games separation between the two. So when you think about where the Pelicans were finishing 5 and Portland finishing 3,
yeah,
you know, you're talking about a 4-game differential between these teams. But we've also seen what Anthony Davis has done throughout the regular season. The last 2 months, he was in the MVP conversation.
He is.
Everyone was telling everyone how good he was. He's been that good ever since he's been in the NBA. And when his game is on, you know, he doesn't get spoken about like everybody else. But there's nobody better right now in the pivot. You know, we'll talk about Embiid. We'll talk about the Greek Freak.
Yes.
As far as big men. But nobody's playing better than Anthony Davis right now in the playoffs.
And I remember when he came into the league, he doesn't really remind me of anybody. Maybe, remember Ralph Sampson back in the day? Tall, skinny, you know, lean guy. And he has that kind of thinness in his body, but he's actually very broad shouldered.
He reminds me of a Bob McAdoo, and that's a little bit before your time.
Yeah,
Bob McAdoo
I don't think I was born.
University of North Carolina back in 1974. They went to the Final Four with Dean Smith. He was the #1 draft pick overall in the NBA by the Buffalo Braves, who are now the Los Angeles Clippers.
Yes.
And he was the 2-time scoring champ his first 2 years in the NBA. He was a perennial all-star. He could score, and he was one of those guys you couldn't match up with. He was 6'10", with a tremendous jump shot, and he could go to the basket. So it made him, versus the other big men in the league, you know, it gave him an advantage because of his quickness, Charlton.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I see with Anthony Davis, a guy who is used to handling the ball a la Bob McAdoo.
Yes.
Back in the early 70s and mid-70s in the NBA. Davis does that because he moves without the basketball.
Yes.
That's what makes him so effective.
And you know, there's something about him, and he's kind of an unassuming guy, and he works hard offensively, and he also works hard defensively. I really like him, and the fact that he's down there in New Orleans, not the biggest media market, but they got to do what they can to keep him. And I know they say, well, how much better will we be when we get DeMarcus Cousins back, who shoots a lot of threes, Big C? Davis knows where he can hunt. When you take that lion hunting, he knows where to hunt, Big C. He hunts down in the paint, and he does it defensively as well. Really impressed with him. Just give me your thoughts, though. When you look at Holiday and Rondo, I know Rondo has a championship ring when he played with the Celtics, but Holiday did his thing, too, because I thought McCollum and Dillard would get him, but they had no answer for them. And it's almost, you know, we talk about the gazelle when the lion shows up and says, can I eat you? And no person says they would volunteer to be eaten. But the lion says, let me tell you one more time. Can I eat you? Does it look like Portland said yes last night, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, no, they didn't say yes, Charlton. It's the length that the Pelicans have. We talked about Davis. He has the length. You looked at Holiday. Look at the length of this guard. And Rondo has always been known for his length.
Yes.
That's where they're offsetting what Portland can do in their backcourt. Portland has a smallish backcourt. They don't really have the length that you get in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And that's where they've dominated, with the length and the speed of moving without the ball. You look at Holiday. No one expected for him to be as tenacious defensively as he has been. Everybody knows that Rondo plays great defense.
Yes.
But his offense ability to assist. And Holiday getting out on the wing in the fast breaks, Charlton, and even stealing a couple, has made a huge difference in the offensive firepower of New Orleans.
Yeah, I was really impressed, and I think, I know we talk about, and he's not going to leave New Orleans unless they really dip the moonshine, Big C. I know they got that voodoo dolls back there. Someone need to take that voodoo doll and have him stay there, because he is the franchise. And I don't care who you are in the West. I know Durant had a little hitch in his giddy-up last night. You know, Curry has a hitch in his giddy-up also, Big C. And I know that we look at who's going to be the team that come out of the West. And a lot of people think it might just be Houston. I'm not so sure about that. I wouldn't want to play. I'm telling you, New Orleans has something going on. I don't know if it's them voodoo dolls they use back down south, Big C, or those beads they rub around the neck when people come into town. But them good boys are playing good basketball. Give me your thoughts on trusting the process. When we look at Joel Embiid, and you look at how great they've been without him for Philadelphia. Well, he comes back last night, and he played a game, and he got his mask stepped on. But just like Superman without his cape, no one thought they missed him. But they recognized he is a force, but he's not the only force for the 76ers. So when you look at Miami, and you got them good boys from Philadelphia, and they looked at the Miami Heat and they said, let me eat you. Big C, I think they might just eat them good boys alive, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I looked at it as much as a bad coaching job for Spoelstra last night in Miami, as well a well-played game by Embiid.
He looked at the heart of the lion.
Whiteside, a player who can match up physically with Embiid, and you have him on the bench.
Yeah.
So you gave your team a disadvantage when you have a 7-2 guy sitting on your bench, and they have a 7-2 guy out on the floor running up and down the court, on the floor on you.
Yeah.
And so he didn't put anybody out there, to stop him. Kelly Olynyk is, he's a decent player, but he's not Whiteside. He can move up and down the floor, but everybody on Philadelphia can run.
Yeah.
You got to understand, Embiid coming out of Cameroon was a soccer player, just like Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yes.
He grew up playing soccer. Basketball was a second sport for him. So his ability to move up and down the floor for a guy that's 7'2", you're not going to find many guys other than Davis that can run with him.
Yes.
But Kelly Olynyk could not stop him last night.
No, he couldn't.
And you look at the firepower coming from the wing with the 76ers. and I spoke about this. This is a team, Charlton, that was built up of non-American players.
Yep.
You look at that. At one point, they had 5 non-American players on the floor last night. Non-American players learn how to play basketball without the ball in their hand.
Yes.
And if you think I'm not saying something to you that you don't know, watch the games. Look at the American players when they handle the ball. They want to get one-on-one. They want to isolate, LeBron James. They want to isolate people.
Yeah.
They want to always go to the hole. They want to dribble around. You look at the European players. You look at the non-American players that you have in Philadelphia. Look how many times the ball moves prior to a shot being taken.
Yep.
Players coming off of screens and picks, moving, just moving around the court. That's how they learn to play the basketball outside of America.
Well, that's
what has hurt the NBA is that you have so many one-on-one players. James Harden's a tremendous one-on-one player.
Yes.
And Michael Westbrook's a tremendous one-on-one player.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook.
So when you get players that can move without the ball, you would think that, Rondo was a European player.
Yeah.
You think about all the success Tony Parker had over the years in San Antonio.
Yes.
Playing ball in Europe with Manu Ginobili. These guys played without the ball in the hand. Manu's main thing when he was at the height of his NBA career was always coming off of cuts and screens. Getting to the basket.
Yeah.
Playing without the ball in his hand. That's what you get from the Philadelphia 76ers. But, if they want to stay in this series, Spoelstra has to play Whitehead. You could see in the fourth quarter that all of a sudden Dwayne Wade got old in a hurry. All of a sudden he hit that line. It's like, the fourth quarter.
That's called that lactic acid. When it gets into your bloodstream, it makes your body stiff when you got that lactic acid, basically. And so it looks like they looked into the heart of a lion last night, and they said, okay, you could eat me. And you're right. They got to play the big man against the big man. I also want to look at Golden State. And again, our thoughts and prayers with the Pop family. Pop didn't want them doing anything special last night because his wife would not have wanted it that way. They want the guys to play, and you show your honor by playing. You show your honor by playing, and hopefully we can all take that lesson in life. Your thoughts on San Antonio? I know Golden State, they don't look like a lion right now. I know they're up 3-0, and I know they look like they can turn it on. But Curry, I like Curry chicken, Big C. I like Curry spice, a little bit of spice. They need some more spice in that offense, especially with Durant having a little bit of hitch in his giddy up. But San Antonio looks like they're done. It looks like they're saying to the Lion, you can eat me, I'm done. But give me your thoughts on Golden State. Are they healthy enough to get to the second round? They still got to get Curry and Durant healthy, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they're in the second round already. By eliminating San Antonio, it gives them a few more days of rest.
Yes.
That allows your players to get ready for the next round in the playoffs. And so you hate to see a series go more than 4 or 5 games. And when you have a team down 3-0, you're not looking to go to 3-1 in that series, Charlton. They've been there before, and they didn't like the outcome of that. So they want to get this over as quick as they can to allow the players to get healthy.
Yes.
But when you look at San Antonio, even with Pop on the sideline and with this unfortunate incident in his life with his wife, Charlton,
yes,
they didn't have enough to stop Golden State anyway. Golden State had positioned themselves, Charlton, to play San Antonio.
Yep.
That's the team that they wanted in the first round. In professional sports, you always know when you can get healthy.
Yes.
Playing an opponent. You will mark and circle things on the calendar, Charles, and say, okay, we got this coming. We can almost pencil this in.
Yes.
But that's the way the Golden State felt about San Antonio. You think about how they swept through them last year in the playoffs. That leaves a sting in people's mind, Charlton, to know that, hey, if we have to face them again, think about what they did to us last year.
Yeah.
And then when you came out that first game,
yep,
and it ended just like the fourth game did last year, and then in the second game, it ended just like the third game did. And then in the third game, it ended just like the second game did.
Yeah.
You don't have any will left.
Yeah.
You don't. Because you figure game 4 will end up just like game 1. You emotionally have been spent already.
Yeah.
To say, okay, we're down 3-0 to this juggernaut in the NBA. Why should we go out there and fight to win one more game to go on vacation? let's just get packed now.
Yeah, it's like that gazelle. When that lion grabs it and that lion says, I need to eat, can I eat you? And the gazelle, once the lion gets his claws and fangs on you, they just go limp. And it looks like some teams go limp when it happens to them also, even though they say they would never volunteer to be eaten alive, Big C. I want to get your thoughts on the games tonight coming up, and I know basketball is a wonderful game. I think you've really seen the graceful athletes that can run up and down the court. Cleveland, Indiana. I know King James, he's a Lion. He's going to get his. He's going hunting tonight up there in Indiana, and the game's going on as we speak. But just give me your thoughts on how much lion blood. He must have had some lion bloods back there in Africa when the Moors were eating those lions, Big C. I think LeBron James got some of that lion's blood, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, LeBron knew that he couldn't sit back in that last game talking and wait on his teammates to get involved in offense.
Yeah.
He had to be the offense. And when you look at how he got a quick start in game 2 and had 20 points early in that game, Charlton.
Yeah.
That was the difference, because you think about game 1, he didn't take a shot for the first 10 minutes of the game. He was deferring to his teammates. But you also got to look at, Charlton, how that game ended, is that he was out of gas.
Yeah.
I mean, they only won by 3 points.
Yep.
At home versus Indiana. Indiana took them to the limits, Charlton.
They sure did.
So, you got to worry about how much does King James have in the tank. Now, you know that the NBA does not want Cleveland out in the first round.
Of course.
Let it be said here first, okay?
You think so?
Okay. We know that, Adam Silver can make things happen when he wanted to happen.
Yep.
Those mystery foul calls can happen at any moment.
Those voodoo dolls, they got them in Cleveland too. Is that what you're saying, Big Z?
But, this is a game that, right now, you got to look at Indiana. They're hitting house money because they got a split in Cleveland.
Yes.
They feel that they can take this team to the limits because they have better overall shooters. You got to think about it. LeBron had 46 points and the team won by 4.
Yes.
46 points. So this is a team that really, he has to be there every night scoring 40 points for them to win.
Yep.
If LeBron is not scoring 40 points, Indiana will take this series.
That's a good point, Big C. In the last few minutes, we have the Celtics and the Bucks. Antetokounmpo, and then the Celtics don't have Irving, and they just had a tough go of it, but they don't have Hayward, the broken ankle. But now they're in the thick of things, and there's something about that Boston mystique. They don't have the voodoo dolls like you guys down south, but they got some beans, I understand, up in Boston. They toss a lot of beans out there. Or that leprechaun. That leprechaun can rear his ugly head sometime, Big C. And he may have just reared his head against Milwaukee, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you got to look at it, Charlton. Who has the playoff experience? Boston does.
Yes.
They went deep in the playoffs last year. So this is a team with a coach that understands how to play this time of the year. And when you look at the productivity that they've had, Charlton, it's because of coaching. The coaching has put them in the right position, Charlton. The Milwaukee Bucks are excited about being here.
Just being there.
They've gotten a lot of advertisement during the regular season about a couple players that have not showed up here in the playoffs. And I think that you think that you can show up in the playoffs and it's going to be just like it was in the regular season.
Yeah.
It's not. It's a whole new horse that you got to ride on. And don't speak about horses in front of the late Alex Karras because you might get knocked out early in the round.
I understand. The Milwaukee Bucks have that little buck on their shirt. They haven't heard about the Lions. Lions like to eat those things, Big C. They're right in the heart of the lion scope. And it looks like Boston understands when they're the Lion and they're out to eat. And they're telling Milwaukee, can I eat you? And it looks like Milwaukee's saying yes. Final game of the night, Big C. Oh, Canada, our home and native land. Now, I don't care how much you like Drake, Big C. That's at least a close second, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, if it's only a 2-horse race, you got to be second.
Okay.
You just pencil yourself in. I'm going to be second.
Now,
but Coach Casey has done a wonderful job with this Raptors team, Charlton.
Yes.
They've gotten to a point where they got over that first game jitters that they've always lost the first game of the series. And they always fall from behind. Now they're fighting from ahead.
Yes.
They just got to keep their momentum. Going to Washington hasn't been the same team since Wall has come back.
So you came back.
They were more team-oriented, but when you have this so-called superstar and he's been out, and he is constantly trying to say, I'm the guy who's carrying my team. And I've always hated that. And I mean, even King James says it. But I've always disliked that, my team. We got out of this R scenario.
Yes.
Our team, we need, and it's always when other guys are not playing, or if you're losing, is that we need you. So when you're winning, is my team.
Yes.
You know, and so that's what Wall is trying to be. This is my team, and I'm taking my teammates out of it.
Yes.
I'm not letting my teammates do what they were doing while I was injured. You know, because it's my team, it's not our team any longer. And I think that's what's hurting Washington more than anything else, is that they're trying to let John Wall take the lead.
Yep.
They need to go back 20 games ago when John Wall was hurt.
Yep.
Look at the success. Scotty Brooks needs to look at the success that they were having at that point and say, this is the lineup that I'm going to put in.
Yeah, that's true, Big C. A lot of guys want to be the lion, and when the lion's on the prey, you got to feed the lion. You got to know when you're being hunted. You're going to watch a lot of Lions playing in the NBA playoffs. Those are the guys who don't give up. Those are the guys who have that extra moxie. They look like they drink a little bit of moonshine. They play more relaxed, but they're aggressive, Big C. And so I can't wait to see what happens throughout the playoffs. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bundini Brown. He was always known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, with all you've got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men rumble, Big C. What are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, this is a nervous weekend in the NBA and the NHL playoffs. We have a lot of teams that are down 3-0 and 3-1 in some series.
Yes.
And coming into the first of next week, Charlton, we're going to have some clarity because we're going to be moving into round 2 with several of those teams in the NHL and the NBA.
Well, I tell you, we will always be moving into the round with them, too. You got to know when you're being hunted. You got to know when you're the prey. You got to be a lion. Speaking of being a lion, every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.